Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday, and it's a new week, so new money coming at you. This is Spin Doc live here with another edition and another week of the Spin Zone. It was a beautiful, beautiful weekend, both weather-wise and from a plays perspective. VIP on just a beautiful run, 6-1 over the weekend. Had some parlays in there too, up over 6 units for the weekend. So ready to give some free winners here to the people for this week. Now, before we get going, also, as we always do, we want to talk about what did we learn this weekend. So, a couple things that I wanted to cover from the weekend's games, especially from Friday, or actually no, from Saturday, is that there were a few things, a few guys that weather kind of killed a whole bunch of things. Weather killed a whole bunch of games. It killed a couple opportunities for props. But I know that on Saturday, I talked about if the game goes, you might want to get in on Nola's over. That turned out to be a good decision. The Diamondbacks, you wouldn't think so based on some of their strikeout numbers, but they actually do have a few guys that chase a lot. So if you have a pitcher that can generate a good amount of chase, you can get this team. And that's exactly what Nola did, going 6 innings, actually a pretty stellar start. No earned runs, only 4 hits, 8 strikeouts. So that was a good hit there. VIP, we played this one. I talked about Hunter Brown, and man, for a while, it looked like he was kind of all over the place. It looked like that one might not get there, but struck out the side in his final inning in the 6th, got to 9. And, really the thing with guys like Hunter Brown and some of these other high K guys is that assuming that there's no weather concerns, assuming that there's no injury concerns, stuff like that, is that they can just kind of hit you like that at any time. Hunter Green is the same way. You have like Zach Wheeler is another guy where they can just have not a whole lot going on from a strikeout perspective, then just all of a sudden just bang, 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 and just get you and strike you out. So that is what Hunter Brown can do. And the big key to that one, and the lesson that you got to take from that is, because I know we talked about it on Saturday, is, even though guys might not have a high whiff rate or K rate to the pitch mix that the pitcher throws, you also have to look at who they've seen. And that's where I know that shout out to Sharpie on this one too, because he does a great job of kind of going back and reverse engineering lineups and looking at who have guys faced and what have been the results, and then comparing that to who they're about to face. So if they've only seen velo in the low to mid 90s, and you got a guy that can run it up to 96, 97 as a starter, that's something to pay attention to, because it's not an apples to oranges comparison. You definitely can find some value about that, because pure numbers won't tell you that. But going back and looking at who they faced, the White Sox had not faced anybody prior to Gavin Williams that threw that fast and can run their fastball up that fast. And it showed. Gavin Williams got him for 7, and that was a divisional opponent who had some familiarity, whereas Hunter Brown, most of these guys had never seen him before, hadn't seen him in any discernible amount. So that was something that you always got to take away, is that who have they seen? What pitchers have they seen? What have those pitchers done? Is there a pitcher that matches up as closely as possible to the one they're facing tonight? And what did that particular individual do? A couple things from Sunday is that even though we had a couple other potential, or a couple minor weather issues, nothing too big, but The big thing for me was Freddie Peralta at home is a different pitcher than Freddie Peralta on the road. Same thing with Dylan Cease. I know we talked on the show before about how Christopher Sanchez, like Road Sanchez from a strikeout perspective, is a thing. Road Cease is a thing. Road versus home Peralta is a thing. He's a different pitcher at home. One of the lowest strikeout teams in the league, the Cubs, got him 7 times over 6 innings as a divisional opponent. And yeah, it's one he's got familiarity with, but they have familiarity with him as well. So Freddie Peralta is a guy that I'm probably not going to be looking to back on the road in most any capacity, but I am going to take a hard look at home. I especially want to take a look at kind of like the Cubs, where potential low strikeout teams where you can get a reduced line and you can find some value. So, but on the road, he's been all over the place. Been all over the place with velo. He's been all over the place. He missed his prop against the Rockies. Yes, it was high, but he missed it there too. And then the other one that I wanted to talk about, just because of who it is, and we talked about him on here before, is Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom is a different pitcher now. And what I mean by that is he used to be a pitcher where I know I talked about his zone versus non-zone rate. He's in the zone a ton this year versus previous years. Jacob deGrom has been a pitcher who has needed strikeouts to have a really really stellar start. He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't need those strikeouts anymore. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, only 3 strikeouts, and through 89 pitches. So deGrom is one of those guys where I'm not saying that you should look. I mean, I don't know if you can look to fade him because he still has that powerful stuff. I mean, his velo is still up there in the 97 to 99 range, but he's a guy that I'm just kind of gonna ignore in most cases, unless I see something in the way the line's set, unless I see something with past history, unless something really jumps at me. I'm probably just going to ignore deGrom because the name is going to carry some value from a line perspective because that's one of the things that the public looks at, and past history against a lot of these teams that he's going to face. He is going to have some really, really good past history, and that's one of the main things that these lines are set off of. So you're going to have some situations where a guy like Jacob deGrom is going to have a high line, and the reason why I'm going to ignore him is because, okay, so you might think maybe I'll take the under. The problem becomes when you have the stuff that he has. I mean, really all he's doing differently is he's pitching in the zone more, and he's using his fastball to get weak contact more than he is at actually going outside the zone and trying to go K hunting. Really, that's the big difference since he's joined the Rangers versus when he was with the Mets and prior. So, it's not like he's a worse or like bum pitcher. In fact, quite the opposite. I mean, 2.61 ERA, just overall stellar metrics. He's just not going K hunting as much. And so that's just the way that Texas has him pitching. And that's the way he's approaching the game. So the problem with an under, though, is that if you do get a situation where he does need to go K hunting, he still can get that chase. He still can rack that velo up and go up the ladder and get Ks. So that's why an under is tough as well. So he's probably a pitcher that I don't know how much I'm going to talk about him this year. And I'm probably just going to cross him off because his line's probably going to be set at 6.5 most games, maybe a 5.5, and it's going to be probably heavier juice on one side or the other that is not favorable to us. So he's a guy that I just don't see a whole lot of value in. I see a lot of value in him if he's like on your fantasy baseball team. I see a lot of value in him as like an actual pitcher, like to the Rangers, because he's pitching quite well. He's just not getting Ks, and that's what we do. That's what we study here. So Jacob deGrom, you're probably not going to hear his name a whole lot more. I've seen enough of a sample size, and I've seen enough of him just hammering the zone and getting weak contact versus going hunting for strikeouts that it's just a guy that probably doesn't have a whole lot of value to me going forward. And then the only other one that I wanted to talk about is, yeah, I was against a high contact team yesterday, but Tanner Bybee against the Blue Jays, a decent regular start, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, but only 3 strikeouts. And Bybee is a guy who has been really, really down on strikeouts this year. Some of his velo has been down in spots. So he's a guy that I'm not really looking to back on an over unless it's against, first of all, never on the road. I'm looking to back him for an under only on the road. I might take a look maybe at an over at home, but he's probably another guy that in most cases I'm probably just going to ignore because you're probably going to get either a heavily juiced 4.5 with the juice on the over or a heavily juiced on the under 5.5. And that's where the value is in playing it. But in most cases, I'm not interested in playing the -160, -170 types of lines. So those were all kind of like my general takes from the weekend. And yeah, we have a new week. We have new money. We have some weather situations that I'll go into in just a moment. Shorter slate because it's a Monday, but we still have 3 pitchers to talk about. So before we do that, want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Familiar faces, Roger, always with us. Thank you, my guy. Appreciate you. And I thank you. What a way to the week with the spin. I appreciate you. Same as well. Thank you for being here. And trying to rob FanDuel. Good morning to you. Always with us. Thank you, my guy. Same with Mario. Good morning and happy Monday to you as well. And yes, let's have a fantastic week. We have, like I said, new week, new money, and hopefully, if you use one of the, I'll say non-public Venmo books that are out there, and y'all know what I'm talking about, is that hopefully Mondays or Tuesdays, I think, are usually settle up days. So hopefully your guy is getting you some Venmo today. So, or Cash App or whatever you use. Roger also says, I wish they would have let Logan Webb go later, even complete the game. Yeah, he could have gotten there. Slow start, not a lot of pitches, and then struck out the side and then just kind of pitched to contact for a while. And, you know, the strikeouts were there to be had, but he was more, he used his sinker a lot more. And it was kind of annoying because even though Webb only throws like 91 to 94, I think he can probably get it up to, when he ran it up the ladder and just threw a rising fastball, these guys were just swinging and missing. The zone contact for the Rockies, as we know, was just horrible. And then he just stopped doing that. He started throwing his sinker more. He started operating in the zone more. And I mean, when you're only throwing 91, 92, and you're not really trying to put anything creative on it, even the Rockies can make contact. So I think you're right, Roger. I think Logan Webb probably pitched a better, like, real game than a strikeout prop. And yeah, he was in the 90s, I think. It would have been nice. What I really wish is that he would have had like a shutout, or, you know, I always like when I'm on an over, when a pitcher has like a no hitter going or like a 1-hitter or something like that, because then the manager typically will give them more leeway or more runway. But yeah, it was annoying because the strikeouts were there to be had. And when he ran it up the ladder, he got them. Even Farmer, who's one of their highest contact guys, he got, and then he just stopped doing it. Started using his sinker more, started using his slow stuff more, and really didn't go K hunting at all, which I know he's not a strikeout pitcher, but against the Rockies, I mean, they sometimes just walk into strikeouts by themselves. So anyways, yep, I'm with you on that one, Roger. All right, we got 3 pitchers to get into today. I will bring up the swing metrics chart and we will get underway. So I kind of changed this up looking at some of the weather report, which I'll, again, with our second pitcher, I will get to. So The first guy, no weather concerns here, I want to talk about is the Sandy Man, Sandy Alcantara. Not a good strikeout percentage this year. He's not really he's more of a distance pitcher than a strikeout pitcher anyway. 15.8% strikeout rate, 14.2% walk rate, albeit so far this year in more than enough starts now, 6 starts. So he gets the Dodgers, and this line is set pretty close to even juice at 6 or 4.5, and on both sides. You can find that pretty much anywhere. All right, so let's get to the Sandy Man versus the Dodgers. First thing is that you have an ample amount of past history. So there's a bunch of past history. 136 plate appearances to be exact, including one outing already this year, and this is a back-to-back. So it is a road to home back-to-back. So a lot of times the conventional logic would be, if a pitcher is facing a team back-to-back, is that he's going to have a lower strikeout total because of the familiarity, they just saw him, etc. And I agree to a point. I agree that's mostly true and it works out to your favor that way a lot more when you're going home to road, when you face them at home and then you see them again at their place. Going road to home isn't necessarily as great of an indicator. Plus, you do have the Dodgers that are on a back-to-back road series, playing late last night, all kinds of weather delays, all kinds of weather issues. On Saturday night, they didn't even start the game until almost 10 o'clock Eastern time because they didn't want to have to do a doubleheader on Sunday. The Dodgers, these guys are professionals, yes, but you also have to remember, like I said, this is a back-to-back road series. They've had all kinds of travel and weather and stuff going on. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison there. But what is an apples to apples comparison is 136 plate appearances for Alcantara against this projected lineup, which as of right now is 5 lefties and 4 righties. And only a 19.1% strikeout percentage. So Alcantara has never really been a guy to get the Dodgers. In fact, there's a bunch of guys that are in this projected lineup that have a very, very low strikeout rate against him. Freddie Freeman, seen him 36 times, only struck out 4. You have Michael Conforto, who's projected to be in 33. Got him 7 times. You got Muncy, 4 for 19. Will Smith, 4 for 14. You see where I'm going with this. Not a whole lot of great history for the Sandy Man against the Dodgers. Now, one of the reasons for that is that Alcantara does operate in the zone 50.8% of the time. That's above pitcher average. And he is also primarily a changeup sinker baller. Both of those 2 pitches comprise over 50% of his pitch mix. And the changeup does get a decent whiff rate, but his 4-seamer, which he throws at about 20% of the time, and his sinker only get about a 10% whiff rate. One of the reasons for that is while he does run the velo up, he can run it up near 100 if he needs to. The problem is that his spin on both of those pitches is pretty significantly below what you would consider like the stuff to get hitters. So you do have guys that can run that fastball up and can get whiffs on it, can get an ample amount of whiffs on it. Alcantara, not really that guy. He does use those pitches to set up guys for those secondary pitches, especially for the changeup, because it does come in at about 7 miles an hour slower, and it does come in at about the same angle. So we talk about our clock. The 4-seamer and the sinker both come in the 1 to 3 range over here, as does the changeup, but the changeup's got a little bit of a different spin pattern and comes in about 7 miles an hour under, so it can confuse guys. The problem here is that while the Dodgers, as you see on the swing chart, they have improved their metrics significantly over the last few weeks. They're still right at league average when it comes to chase contact. Some of their early seasons whiff concerns have kind of gone away. The Dodgers are quite good at hitting off-speed stuff. The way that you get them is you get them with heat. And Alcantara throws heat, but as I mentioned, he doesn't generate a whole lot of spin or really creativeness on his fastball, which doesn't generate whiffs. And that is one of the things that I believe leads to the very, very low strikeout percentage. Now, you look at the projected lineup, and because he operates in the zone a lot, and because of those four-seamer, the changeup, and the sinker are almost 80% of his pitches, then I look at zone contact. And I do see that when you combine the past history, like Mookie Betts is elite at everything. Freddie Freeman, 78.7%. That's improving. He was down in the 75 to 76 range for a while. Part of that had to do with his early season injuries. You also have a number of guys that operate in that 75 to 78% range, and even like over close to league average, So you do have a number of guys that are by the numbers below league average, but are close and have been improving. Then at the bottom of the lineup, I talked about Conforto. Pegas has an 86.6% zone contact rate and has only faced Alcantara a couple times. And most of the other guys that they could put in the 9-hole, which as of right this moment is projected to be Ha-Seong Kim. I'm not sure if that will actually be the case, but they have a number of guys that they can put in that would be decent zone contact here too. So, and Slim saying, yeah, they just beat him up. They really do. And I think that I think that part of that is because, like I said, when you don't have a whole lot of variance in where you throw your four-seamer, your sinker, and your changeup, Dodgers can hit off speed all day. The way to get him is with craftiness and heat, and Alcantara has neither one. Mario saying, it's sad to see Sandy like this right now. The injury did a number on him. Yes, it did, very much so. Missed all of 2024. And has not really been the same since he's come back. He's got his velo going, but not a whole lot of movement. It would be nice to see him get back because he was dominant for a while. There was actually, I think the year before he got hurt, for at least first half of the season, there was some talk about like he could be a potential Cy Young guy. But you're right, he's not there yet. And this is a team that has just seen him very well. They've hit him very well. You also go and you see some of the offensive numbers that a lot of these Dodgers have. And, this is factoring in even before the injury is you see that like Freeman's batting 281. Mookie Betts is batting a 438. Will Smith 429. Bunch of guys with over 15 plate appearances batting in the 300s. So a lot of times they have gotten to Sandy. The other thing here too is that his outs are down. It's been at 17.5 pretty much the bulk of the season, and is now down to 16.5. I'm guessing the opponent had something to do with that. So really, this is kind of like my long-winded way of saying that if I'm looking at playing this one, even though it's on the road, it is still a back-to-back. Under is the only way I can look here. I can't trust Alcantara. I really can't trust him with that walk rate, that 14.2% walk rate. Right now, his walks prop is set at a 2.5, which is what it was the last time against the Dodgers, and he walked 5. And he's walked 2 or more in every start except for one, averaging almost 3 walks a game. You see over here on the outside, on the chase swing rate, Dodgers, one of the best in baseball over the last few weeks at only 28.4%, which is under league average. So the Dodgers, this version of their offense is more what we expected to see to start the season, especially from a swing metrics perspective. There were some ugly numbers there for a while, but this lack of chase is probably what I would expect to see. Under is the only way you can look here. I'm still going to wait for a lineup. What I especially want to wait for is to see if some of the really ugly ones aren't in, from a zone contact perspective, aren't in the lineup, like Chris Taylor, obviously. But then there's a few others that might make me just pause and just throw it out for the day. But if I'm playing this one, under is the only way I can go. Alcantara just has not K'd these Dodgers in any fashion. So under or nothing for me on Alcantara. All right, next up is my nemesis, the bane of my existence. The guy that it's funny because when I give him to VIP, I can't get him right. When I give him out on a show like this for free, or when I give him out on a show like Sharpies or anywhere else I appear, I hit at a crazy rate. So, figure since this was a free show, free plays, figure we'll talk about Mr. Carlos Rodon, striking people out at a 31.7% rate this year, 11.6% walk rate, a little higher than he's used to. He does get the Padres, maybe. I'll explain that in a moment. This game is scheduled to be started 7:05 p.m. We're not sure if that's going to happen, but we do have an auspicious line, a 5.5. And FanDuel, as of the time I went on, was the only place this line appeared at. So, and you have a pretty bettable on both sides, 5.5, -118, -108. Well, why is that? Why is that? Well, is it due to swing? Is it due to some of the metrics? Well, by the numbers, you look at the Padres down here dead last. Part of that was due to Arias and a few other guys being out who are now back, but a ton of chase, a ton of, and not a lot of zone swing, and not a ton of chase contact, and a whole bunch of first strike percentage, which Rodon has been getting guys at over 50%. They're almost 50% this year. And man, why are we at a 5.5? Well, for one, rain, go away. There is an 88% chance of rain all day in New York until about 10 p.m. Now, the caveat to that is that it's not, don't know quite yet what is going to happen, if it's going to either, if the heavy stuff is going to miss the Bronx, or if it's going to come before, or if they're going to be in a delay. There's a lot of question marks about this game right now. I'll be totally honest. One of the other pitchers that I was going to talk about today was the other side of this one, in Nick Pivetta, because I think that there was actually a good amount of potential undervalue on that one. But the rain has gotten me totally away from this one. But I'm talking about Rodon because I wanted to just give some general tips from what I use when it's a potential weather game. So, number one is that even if the game goes, is that you have the potential. For a couple things to happen. Number one, obviously, is there's a delay. There's something that happens, and they're sitting in the dugout for an hour and a half, and when that happens, there is a very low chance that the starter will come back out, no matter how many innings that they've thrown. Usually after about 40 to 45 minutes is when different teams do it different ways, but when teams start getting a little nervous about, do I really want to bring this guy back out? He's gotten tight, and it's also expected to be a little chillier. It's chilly, obviously, wet because of the rain. Those are just ripe conditions for a guy to pull something, for a guy to for something to happen that's bad. And so the other thing is, even if the game is going to go, let's say we get a late start and they want to get the game in, et cetera, you also have the potential for the teams to try to play turbo baseball. And what I mean by that is that a lot more pitching to contact, a lot more trying to get guys in the field, a lot faster game, and faster game from the umpire's perspective as well, because you got to remember, I mean, they don't want to be there all night either. So a faster game, which can lead to more strikes, but it can also lead to a lot more pitches in the zone and guys to not, or a lot more. There's a whole bunch of things that can happen when you have a weather situation like that. And that's why I usually leave them alone. So I am going to look at the weather report closer to first pitch. Even though I saw what the forecast said, it could change throughout the day because you have a lot of swirling winds and a lot of clouds, just a lot of stuff. That's kind of the remnants of what washed away a bunch of games over the weekend that is settling over New York proper right now. So before we get on here, want to go Line Slayer saying, you know, I believe spending the guy like him would be due for some progression coming off the year off. I mean, oh, if you're talking about Alcantara, I mean, I hope so. I hope so for him. I'll get to your comment about Smith in just a little bit. What's up, Mom Who Bets? Happy Monday to you as well. Thank you for being here. Rodon saying DK is 5.5 over -155 under +120. That's a DK line for sure. That doesn't surprise me at all. DK caters to public a lot more. Cover King saying the system is coming off the East Coast, feeding moisture. No shot it happens. Yeah. I am guessing that this game doesn't go. However, I was reading that if there's a chance that they can get it in tonight, they do want to try. Also because these are obviously non-divisional opponents, and with so many washouts and so many delays, so many situations going on. I mean, you got to remember, there's only so many days that you have to make up these games. And yeah, they could play a doubleheader tomorrow, but I did read that they want to try to get it in. And really the question now is that will the heavier stuff miss the Bronx? Because there is a potential, if it's light rain, that they will start the game. So I'll get off of my weather horse here, and let's just talk about if this game happens, right? Let's talk about if this game happens. So obviously, I saw that Berg said that FD is now more in line with DK. Yeah. So let's just assume that we have a -155 line on the 5.5 for Rodon. If you know for a fact that this, if you can say with at least, I would say 85 to 90% certainty that this game will go, and that it will go at least enough where Rodon can get his innings in, which there's no outs prop right now, and I highly doubt that there will be, is that over would definitely be the place to look, just because of how dominant he's been, especially because Rodon only operates in the zone 43.4% of the time. The Padres have one of the highest chase rates in baseball, still obviously for the last few weeks under when it comes to chase contact. The projected lineup right now is 2 lefties and 7 righties, and aside from Arias, who is going to be a dead spot no matter who it's against, you look at some of the past history as well, and you see that Rodon has some good history against this team, against this projected lineup. 76 plate appearances, 21 strikeouts for a 27.6% strikeout rate. And Rodon has also been absolutely elite at not allowing chase contact at a 42.7% rate. So if this game's going to go, and you think that, and there's a reasonable belief that Rodon is going to get a full start in, I am not convinced that happens right now. Over is the only way you can look here. And if I knew for a fact that this game would go and that Rodon would get a full start in, and that it would be graded by books, even at the -150, -155, I'd probably be willing to throw some money on the over. The Padres just chase a ton. They chase a ton. There's good history here. The other thing is Rodon has a 33.9% K percentage against righties versus only 24.3% against lefties. The 2 lefties in this lineup are Arias, who would be a dead spot anyway, and Jackson Merrill, who against Rodon, I don't believe he's faced Rodon. I don't think so. And for the year, he does chase a lot, 33.9%. That's pretty in line with his career. So if we get a positive weather report, which again, I'm not expecting that to I'm not necessarily expecting that to happen, then over would be the way to look here because of how much the Padres chase. And you still have a number of guys in this lineup, like, for example, Diaz is in the projected lineup. His chase contact is only 42.5. You have Campusano in the lineup. His chase contact for his career, he doesn't have enough pitches this year to really make a discernment, but chase contact for his career hasn't been great. You got Xander Bogaerts, who's at a 51.9%, and you have a few guys who have a bunch of strikeouts against this man. So I'll leave it at that for now. There's probably not a whole lot to even talk about for a game that might not even go. So we'll move on to the next guy who has his own set of concerns, And another one that I want to give you a word of warning about. We have Cole Ragans, the lefty, 35.9% K percentage, 7% walk percentage against the White Sox. This game is going to go at 7:40 Eastern. And you have a heavily juiced over 6.5 at -154 for Ragans at home. That's not really a big surprise. Now, here's a general rule that I have from a VIP perspective. I tend to almost never, I say almost never play a guy who is coming off of an injury, who is coming off of a missed start. Now, Ragans, when like the whole universe was on him, did leave early with a groin strain about halfway into his start at home against the Rockies. Now, he did miss a start. He had an encouraging bullpen session, so he is slated to retake the mound tonight. As of the time that I went on, I don't even know if it's going to be up. Nope, no outs prop for Ragans, and there probably won't be either. So be wary of that, because while a lot of the numbers say that you can certainly, look at the over here, and really at Ragans at home against the White Sox, you're probably not looking under ever. But the problem becomes is that you have no idea how long this guy's going to go for. You have no idea if his groin's going to hold up. Yeah, the team might say he had encouraging bullpen session. He's ready to go. Is he going to throw 70 pitches? Is he going to throw 80? I'm guessing that it's possible that they could limit him to 75 to 80 pitches tonight, in which case then now you're asking him to get 7 strikeouts on top of that. Nope, not me, not for me. I need to see it, especially when it's something where a guy left early, because if it was bad enough for him to leave early in a start, bullpen session, minor league rehab start aside, and no outs prop to go along with it, there's a lot of question marks that go into play here. Metrically, he matches up for the over exceptionally well with his K rate, especially when the White Sox are projected to run 8 righties, and Ragans has a 38.7% K percentage against those righties. There is with Ragans, he operates in the zone a decent amount, 50.7%, but allows a very, very low amount of zone contact. And you go up and down the projected lineup for this White Sox team, and you don't see a whole lot. I mean, you see a lot of holes from a zone contact perspective. You see Robert, you see Vargas, you see Vaughn, you see not Vaughn. You see a whole bunch of guys, especially ones towards the end of their lineup, like Michael Taylor, etc., that are really, really poor at zone contact. So there's strikeouts to be had here. The other question becomes, is Ragans going to pitch Ragans? What I mean by that is he ready to just go back and just go full out? A lot of times you see guys come off of an injury, start where they missed due to an injury, and they're throwing one pitch more. Usually it's like their put it in play pitch, because Ragans' four-seamer, changeup, knuckle curve, slider. You might see Ragans use his fastball more, and the White Sox do have a number of guys, albeit we talked about this on Saturday, not used to seeing the kind of heat that Hunter Brown threw, which Ragans can throw. I also don't know if his velo is going to be there. His velo was down by over a mile an hour on most everything last start. So that the whole purpose of talking about Ragans here is really to say, like, before anybody runs to the window off of a guy who missed his last start, I always make him show it and say, prove it to me, you're back. And also from the manager's perspective, prove to me that you're going to give this guy the required number of pitches, because 7's a big number. Seven's a healthy number. It's a number he can hit, but it's a healthy number. And you know what? If he goes out there and murks him and pitches 4 innings and strikes out 8, I won't be that worried about it, because I'm not going to put -155 juice on something with this many question marks. So, if you wanted to, the way I would look to play Ragans tonight, especially if we get an outs prop and it's anything 17.5 or above, or even 16.5 juiced heavily towards the overs, I would pull him down from a 6.5, or to pull him down to like a 5.5 and pair him with somebody to get some plus money. That's how I would play Ragans tonight. I would not play this line standalone either side. I would look to pair him with something or just let it be and watch and see what he does. See what he does. More specifically, see how many pitches he throws. That's a big thing for me, is that, are they going to give him, are they going to let him go? Or, if he's got a good start, the other thing to keep in mind too is, and I know that like I told Line Slayers, I'm going to talk about the Scott guy from the White Sox in a second, is that, let's just say that the Royals jump out to like a 6-0 lead, is that if I'm the Royals manager, after 75 pitches, I just say, good. All right, you held up, your groin's okay, good. We'll run you back up in the 90s next time you're out there. Hit the showers, attaboy kid, good game. Something like that. I mean, this is a regular season game against the White Sox. I mean, this is not like make or break time. If this was obviously like a playoff game, I think that, injury be damned, he would be going like as long as he could. In a regular season Monday game against the White Sox, I'm guessing that they just want to get him back out there and just make sure that the groin holds up, make sure that he's good, and on and off stage with as little risk as you possibly can. So that's what I would look to do with Mr. Ragans for tonight. I'm just not really looking to invest a whole bunch in a guy that they say is healthy, they say looks good, but again, you got to show it to me. So, all right. So that will do it for the pitchers that I wanted to cover today. I'm going to go to a few more of the comments, and then we'll go to other looks, which would entail Smith and a few other things. So Cover Kings, one unit on Brady Singer over 4.5 Ks at -140, as well as 1 unit on Griffin Canning out in Arizona under 4.5 Ks at -145. So if you're interested in those, Adams Digest, my guy, thanks for being with us. Appreciate you. And with that, we will go on to with other looks. I'll talk about Shane Smith. So first of all, if you don't know who Shane Smith is that righty who 25 years old and has a pretty traditional pitch mix. He had his main four-seamer, changeup, slider, curveball. Those are like the big four for most right-handed pitchers that aren't specialty guys. And his fastball is his traditional pitch, 41.5% of the time, runs at 94.8, can run it up to 96, 97. It overall has a really decent mix of stuff. I don't know if I would call him like a future Cy Young contender, but he does have a good mix of stuff. He also works almost around the clock. So I talked about our clock. His four-seamer and his changeup work in the 12 to 3 range. His slider works in the 11 to 9 range over here. And his curve is almost traditional. It's almost a traditional 12 to 6, going downward in the 8 to 7, sometimes closer to 6 range. But like I said, it's not your traditional 12 to 6 curve. So Shane Smith does get the Royals tonight, and looking back at his starts this year, so he's averaging 4.33 strikeouts per game. He has hit right now, he's getting a 3.5, which going into Kansas City is not a big surprise, with a pretty heavy juice on the under here. You got MGM probably laying the heaviest, and FanDuel laying the best at -128. MGM's up at -155. So to this 3.5 number, 3-3 this year. And the teams that he's hit it against are actually teams that, well, one in particular, you wouldn't expect him to hit it against with the Guardians. You would expect him to hit it against Boston, which he missed both times. So Smith does live in the zone, 55.3% zone rate with 80.2% zone contact allowed. He doesn't get guys to chase a whole lot. When he does, they miss, but that's a little misleading because he doesn't get a whole lot of chase. Shane Smith. The other thing that I look at here is because of how much he's in the zone, I do look at zone contact, and I look at the Royals and their projected lineup. And over the last few weeks, they have been absolutely elite at zone contact. They had a period there, especially Salvi Perez and a few other ones where it was a little dicey. However, 90.3% zone contact over the last 2 weeks, which is tops in baseball. So for a guy that operates this much in the zone, I get why the line is set so low. I also get why a lot of people are going to be on the under. Now, it's probably one that's going to be a stay off for me, especially because his hits prop is up. He's up from 4.5 to 5.5, and his earned runs have been hovering between 1.5 to 2.5, and it's at a 2.5 tonight. So this to me projects as like a game where he's probably going to have 3, maybe 4. And then lesser percentages to have other numbers on either side. But I might look to pair him with somebody and pair that under with something that you can get plus money at and avoid all the juice altogether. Because even minus 128, based on the amount of zone contact that the Royals have seen and based on the zone contact in their projected lineup for a guy that's in there over 10, almost 10% above league average, is probably not something I'm interested in an over on the road. I might be interested in an under and pulling them down. So hope that helps, Line Slayer. And next, last but not least, want to get to just a few other looks that I had. These are just leans and should be bet accordingly. If you're looking for a plus money spot tonight, there's not really a whole bunch of them, to be honest with you. The Nationals would be about the only one that I would think would have some value. That's at plus 102. I'm even kind of iffy on that. Maybe, kind of, sort of. I might be willing to take a jump on the Reds at plus 125. I kind of lean Cover King's way when it comes to Singer. And there's some indications he might have a good start, but that's about it. From a totals perspective, I'm looking at the under in the Royals White Sox game, specifically the White Sox team total under. Again, Reagan's maybe having a better start than a strikeout than overall strikeouts, and then probably the other one, which actually would kind of go in line with Cover King's with Griffin Canning potentially, is an Arizona Diamondbacks team total over. It's not the greatest card tonight. Most everybody's in action tomorrow, so it should be a lot prettier then. So one last shout out, Moneybag Tone. Thanks for being with. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. All right. So that will do it for today. And so Sandy Alcantara, strong lean on the under for that one. Carlos Rodon, if the outs prop goes up and there's any chance that this game goes off, which I'm not convinced of at the moment, then that would be a hard look at the over. And Reagan's was more of kind of like a TED talk from me about why we don't invest heavily in guys that are coming right off of injury. Definitely would look to pull him down and pair him with something if you have interest. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining. If you haven't yet, please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the Daily Bread Network on YouTube. It helps get our word out there. Please follow me if you're not already. Spin Doc Sports back tomorrow with a whole slate of pitchers. Best of luck if tailing. We'll see you tomorrow.